Hello everyone. Today we have Venerable Sarana with us. He will be giving a Dhamma talk on the topic, the insight knowledges. We had the opportunity to listen to Venerable Sarana before, and I'm glad Venerable Bhante is able to share his knowledge with us today as well. I would like to share his brief bio to our audience before starting the session. Venerable Sarana was born in Czech Republic. He studied in West Bohemia. At the age of 15, he became a Buddhist follower after reading about Buddhism in a local library. In 2007, he moved to Sri Lanka, where he became a novice and trained under the Venerable Pemasiri Thero. In 2012, he received a bachelor's degree in Buddhist philosophy and religious studies from the Buddhist and Pali University of Sri Lanka. He then moved to Myanmar, where he was ordained as a bhikkhu. From 2017, Ashin Sarana actively shared Dhamma and meditation instruction in different meditation centers and in different countries. Since 2022, he has been studying a master's degree program in clinical mental health counseling at the Liberty University of Virginia. I request you, Venerable, to please start today's Dhamma session. Thank you.
All right, very well. So, what is actually the program? Shall we meditate and then discuss and then questions, answers, or any other system?
That sounds perfect, Bhante. Maybe you can start with the meditation, then the Dhamma talk, and the question answer session. Thank you, Bhante.
How long meditation? How long time meditation would you suggest? 10 minutes, 5 minutes, or 15 minutes?
Yes, please, Bhante. Yes.
10 minutes?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Thank you.
So we can sit in a comfortable meditation posture. Make sure your back is erect. When we meditate, two things are very important for success. If we want to be very successful, very fast, these two things will help us. And that is, during meditation, we don't make any movements and we keep our back erect. That's, of course, if it's a sitting posture. So, keeping our back erect, we can keep our eyes open a little, either half open or less open than that, and see the floor in front of us. We can make the first determination in our minds voicelessly. From now on, for 10 minutes, I will meditate on muscles and radiate loving kindness without any movement. From now on, for 10 minutes, I will meditate on muscles and radiate loving kindness without any movement. From now on, for 10 minutes, I will meditate on muscles and radiate loving kindness without any movement. And with that determination, we can gently, lovingly notice there's a flat piece of sinew at the top of the head. We allow it to be heavy and changing. We continue in this manner to the forehead, eyes, nose, lips, chin, cheeks, ears, back of the head. We allow all of the muscles and sinews throughout the head to be heavy and changing. We continue to the neck, shoulders, arms, elbows, forearms, wrists, palms, fingers, tips of fingers, chest, abdomen, back. We allow all of the muscles and sinews throughout the upper part of the body to be heavy and changing. And we continue to the buttocks, thighs, knees, calves, heels, soles, toes, tips of toes. We allow all of the muscles and sinews throughout the body to be heavy and changing. And we allow all of the body parts to be changing. And as we allow the body to be the way it is, we ourselves achieve freedom from worry about the body. Let's watch this freedom. Let's enjoy this peace. When we have established ourselves in peace, we can share it with other living beings. We start in our row. We don't force, we don't expect, just allow. In our minds, voicelessly, we can allow all beings in our room to enjoy at least as much peace as we are having now. May all beings in this room be in peace. And we gradually expand our thought of loving kindness. May all beings in this building be in peace. May all beings in this city or village be in peace. May all beings in this country be in peace. May all beings in this country be in peace. May all beings on this continent be in peace. May all beings on this planet be in peace. May all beings, including me, be in peace. Now, because the time for this sitting is finished, let's make the last determination in our minds listlessly. From now on, I will always be calm. 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 And with that determination, we can slowly, mindfully change the way of our sitting. And when we have changed the way of our sitting, we can take one more minute during which we can observe what's going on in the mind. Very well. So today we are going to talk about Vipassana Jnanas 1 to 10. Vipassana means insight. It is pretty well translated insight, but in looking would be a little more accurate. Insight means that you already see it, but Vipassana is actually an action. It's a practice, not a result. So rather than insight, more accurate understanding would be a kind of action. It's an action, it's a training, it's practice. So in looking. And here we are looking into the depth of reality. We're looking at the ultimate meaning and ultimate nature of all that is. And before we get to these 10 knowledges, in the previous meeting, I explained the necessary prerequisites for successful meditation so that you can progress along these lines throughout these first 10 knowledges. The first 10 knowledges, the first 4 or 5 knowledges, each of them would deserve about an hour or 2 hours of a Dhamma talk. Then we have several, about 3 or 4 knowledges, which are basically just synonyms. So they are much simpler. And then we have the level number 10, which is a little bit more complicated. So before you actually start to work on your first knowledge, you need to have the necessary environment inside and outside. So let's look at outside. So it's very important that you prepare your situation in such a way that you avoid 10 things. Avaso cha kulang labho, gano kammancha panchamang, adhanang jnati abadho, ganto idhitite dasati. So avaso is the place where we stay, needs to be the right one, needs to be suitable, but also it should not disturb you. And these are 10 things that may actually disturb you. So you need to have a residence where you do not feel disturbed. That's not too noisy. That's not too something. It should not cause you troubles. Then we have kulang, so that's family. You need to remove yourself from your family. Go as far as possible so that you do not get engaged in the affairs and troubles and necessities of your family. Labho is gain. If you get too many things, if people come to you and they're giving you things, like if you're a monk or a nun, if you have to go for a meal in a house every day, then that could also disturb your practice. There is no problem in monks receiving a huge amount of many amazing and expensive gifts, totally fine. But it becomes a little a problem if the monk intensively meditates. So it's good to move to a silent place, to a peaceful, solitary place where you can meditate, because then it's easier to fulfill these 10 requirements. So labho was number 3. Then gano. Gano means students. It is very good if a monk has students, but it is not so good if the monk wants to meditate intensively and achieve enlightenment. So a wise monk would hand over the class to another monk, and himself he would go to the forest to meditate in peace. Kamma. Kamma here actually means activity. So a monk who wants to progress fast and very much, the monk ideally refrains from projects. Projects are very good and very important, and it's amazing when monks have many projects, but not when they intensively meditate. So a project to build a new monastic building, a project to write a book with more explanation in your own language for, let's say, meditation or Dhamma, or a project of a meditation retreat, teaching a meditation retreat, or a project of repairing a building, or a project of giving a big Dhamma talk to people, or a project of memorizing things, but we will look at books a little later. So in these cases, the project may be a disturbance to the meditation practice. It's of utmost importance that we build buildings in the monastery, that we maintain the community of the lay people, we accept the invitations for meal, that we write books, and so on and on. But it must be outside the period when you meditate intensively. Okay, so that was Kamma. Then we have Adhana, which is travel. So a wise monk understands that while traveling, there are problems. There are health problems, there are things that we own, problems like they get lost or broken or old. And of course, there is the problem of the movement. So as you are traveling, you're moving and moving and moving and moving. So you cannot really peacefully sit down and meditate. You could say, well, you could meditate in walking. Well, that you need to do anyway. So even if you're not meditating, even if you're not like a wanderer walking here and there, and you have a monastery where you can stay and meditate, it is really good if you stay there for your intensive meditation period. Because even in the intensive meditation period, you need to alternate between sitting and walking. Now, if you only meditate in walking, then that could be a little problem. What if you actually need to sit down? But I admit that there were arahants who achieved nibbana only by meditation in standing and walking, without sitting into meditation at all. So that's adhanam. Jnati. Jnati is, again, it's like kula. So jnati means the relatives. So taking care of your relatives, taking care of your family, that's not conducive to your progress. Instead, conducive is when you do not take care of them, and instead you go to the forest. Now, some of the males here may think, aha, so that means I should not take care of my family. Yay! But it doesn't work like that. Of course, you need to take care of your family or you'll get scolded. But when you want to meditate intensively, it's really good idea to go to a forest and meditate there peacefully. You probably will not be able to create a forest-like opportunities at home where you have your wife and children and maybe also the mother-in-law and father-in-law and grandma and grandpa and so on and on. Whoever is there, they may actually somewhat disturb you, even by their presence. So you want to move out and find a place where none of your memory members surely lives. Okay, so that's adhana, jnati. Then we have abadho is illness. You resolve illness by taking medicine. And then we have gantho, which are books, memorizing books. And then finally, psychic powers. So these are 10 things. If you have them, or if they have you, or if you're close to them, or if you're engaged in them, then they may disturb your practice, and there is very low probability that you will understand anything. But if you can somehow resolve these 10 things and make sure that they will not disturb you in the future during your meditation retreat, then there's a high probability that you will progress. So with removing the 10 causes of disturbance, you may start dedicating yourself to samatha practice. Samatha practice is a very powerful tool to start meditation practice. Some teachers do not teach any samatha, and some teachers, they teach samatha only until upachara samadhi, which actually seems to be totally enough. Then samatha will help you calm the mind so that you can then see what's going on. And we will need to see what's going on in order to get these vipassana knowledges, because they're all entirely dependent on your personal present moment observation. Okay, so the first out of the 10 insight knowledges is Namarupa Paricheda Jnana. So it is the knowledge when you distinguish the body from the mind. You clearly understand why or actually how the body is different from the mind. You will understand it by your experience, not just by theory or some thoughts or because you read something. No, you have an amazing, very thorough understanding of why the body is different from the mind. So that's why it's very good to start your meditation practice by observing the body, because the mind is fleeting and it's very hard to catch. The body is a little easier to do this. And then when you have understood the impermanence, unsatisfactoriness, not self nature of the body, then you can move on to mind, because by then you already know what is materiality. So to understand mind is relatively easier. That is, whatever is not matter, that is mind. So in the first knowledge, Namarupa Paricheda Jnana, you're very clear about the difference between the body and the mind. If you can achieve that, then the second knowledge is the conditionality between the body and the mind. Why is the body like this? Why is the mind like this? Well, because the body helps there. And also, the mind is able to understand better what's suitable, what's not suitable, what's now, what's then, rather than the mind needs to understand what is right, thanks to samatha practice, thanks to mindfulness, thanks to the right view. So then you know, okay, so too much effort is wrong, too little effort is wrong. So you need to go the middle path. The second insight knowledge is about the conditionality between the body and the mind. So you notice that the mind is dependent on the body and the body is dependent on the mind. Some people of you may heard of so-called Hadeyavatu, like the heart base. And in Theravada Buddhism, we usually believe that indeed the heart base is the basis for arising of our minds. But even though the heart base seems to be so, it is probably so for jhanas, but not necessarily so for mental defilements. So when somebody wants to find out more about their brain, it's better to go back to the scientists. However, if you want to find out how to take care of your mind in such a way that you emancipate, that you liberate yourself from greed, hatred, ignorance, then you can dedicate more time to your sitting practice. And loving kindness practice actually supports meditation practice in the other postures. So you can also meditate additional time on loving kindness. So that was number 2. Then we have number 3, where you understand. Okay, here it is. Where you understand impermanence, unsatisfactoriness, not self in the body and the mind, and in particular, you consider them. Okay, you may not still understand all of these 4 ultimate realities by the time you have finished a requalification retreat or a special retreat. For experienced people, you still may not understand, but when you get mature, you will understand. And this possibility that you don't understand is dependent on other conditions. So what's going on around that makes me not understand? And then you either remove that or you change it or you repair it, whatever it is. And based on your new development of about red to violet, something between red and violet, sitting cloth or robes or anything else usually should be that kind of color. Okay. So we get here the second and the third. Yes, the third one is consideration. The third knowledge, although here understood as comprehension, in fact, it's the third knowledge where you may feel first that you're enlightened. And it will be a wrong idea. But that's the nature. People, when they meditate, they want to see some outcome. And the outcome in Buddhism is one's own experience and knowledge, wisdom. So this makes it a little bit difficult. This makes it a little bit more complicated, but sammasana, the third knowledge, is very important because you will then build on that particular knowledge of impermanence, unsatisfactoriness, not self. The first level, the first knowledge, is arising, passing away. So as you already understand how things go, so you already understand what is and what should be, you can then start to consider a little deeper issues. For meditation for insight practice, the ability to understand impermanence, unsatisfactoriness, not self is crucial to see the deeper level of impermanence. So Ledi Sayadaw has explained that there are 2 kinds of impermanence, 2 kinds of unsatisfactoriness, and 2 kinds of not self. In other words, anicca, dukkha, anatta can be interpreted in two ways, and that is the superficial and the deep. So when you look at impermanence and when you see impermanence, you may see it as the conceptual impermanence or as the ultimate impermanence. In the conceptual, the one of the six consciousnesses come into predominance, into a rather clear understanding of what's going on. And so the mind, in this superficial style, can be there with, let's say, the seeing or hearing or smelling for several seconds, and everything is fine. But when you go to a deeper level, then you may actually see through your mindfulness that all of these periods of consciousness, when one consciousness is predominant, then at those times, when you meditate based on a good knowledge, then you may understand that just meditating is not enough. That donation is also very important. It doesn't have to be to a monk, although the Buddha explains that donating to the Buddha's monks is one of the biggest merit. Okay, so we have covered three vipassana jnanas. There are already 10, but these three are of utmost importance. I will brush off the remaining. So then we have knowledge of arising, passing, and that's crucial for enlightenment. And many people cannot see it, so they need to continue to practice. Many people see it and they get stuck on it. So it's a very crucial, milestone in the practice, and that is the vipassana knowledge number 4, so-called Udayabhaya Jnana. So there you see actually the body, the materiality, the mentality to arise, pass in a fast succession. Then you can continue developing this knowledge, this ability to see arising, passing. You continue, and it hopefully gets subtler and subtler, all the way where you see a very subtle arising, passing of the mind and of the body. And even with the help of others advising you and informing you of whatever's coming and what should you do, still you may be able to achieve very deep level of wisdom through this concentration. Yes, very deep level of wisdom through this attainment of arising, passing. All right, so it's very late at the place where I'm now, and now I'm actually in Singapore for a short while. Now we have 10:40 p.m. So I will have to cut off my talking here because I'm also, as you maybe have noticed, almost falling asleep while talking. But I would like to move on to questions, answers, if there are any, and then we will see in the next opportunity, because we probably have another opportunity to meet and discuss vipassana knowledges. I may elaborate more on the higher knowledges, that is knowledges 5 and up. 4 and 5 is basically the same thing, except that 5 is more subtle and more powerful. 4 is seeing arising, passing of the of consciousness, and actually 5 does the same thing, except that the arising, passing is much clearer, and it's no more disturbed by the ideas or thoughts or related to something else. So you're fully there with the present moment, and therefore you can see the arising, passing in a very deep level. So that would be for 4 and 5. 6 and up, we can the vipassana knowledges number 6 and up. We can discuss that during our meeting in the future. So if you have any questions, I think now is the best time to start asking.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Thank you so much, Bhante, for the meditation and explaining those five insight knowledges in such a simple way. That was quite insight. Bhante, is it that first we have to get that first knowledge and then the second and the third? It has to be that sequential, exactly the perfect way it's described?
Yes, there is no way how you can jump over any of these knowledges, and there is no way how you can switch them. These knowledges is it's a little bit like it's a little bit um, like building a pyramid, you know. So if you build a pyramid, then you need to start from some base, and then you gradually build the smaller and smaller and smaller levels. It's not like the knowledges become easier and easier, absolutely not. But the pyramid simile here is because it's very easy to understand. You cannot really build a pyramid with the levels jumbled up. So if the pyramid has, for example, 5 stories, then you have story 1 is the bigger, and then gradually they're smaller and smaller until 5. So of course you cannot build 1, 3, 2, 5, 4. Then it will probably crumble. Or to build 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, that probably also will not work. So we need to be very careful and understand that all of these knowledges, they're actually dependent on each other. We will have a little bit more fun from 6 until knowledge number 9, because 6, 7, 8, 9 are actually synonymous. So we will be looking at this a little closer next time.
Absolutely, Bhante. And we would be waiting for the remaining insight knowledges for that, Bhante. Thank you so much. And I do not see any questions in the chat box as of now. So, if possible, maybe we can conclude the session, Bhante, with your permission.
Very well. So we can recite Chirang Tittatu Sat Dhammo, which means may the pure Dhamma stay for a long time. And this recitation is also very famous in Myanmar. There are 2 versions of this recitation, but this version that we will be reciting is common in the Pali scriptures. The version that's rather more common in Myanmar is actually not in our scriptures, but it should not matter much because the meaning is more or less the same. So we can put our hands together at the chest and we can recite together 3 times. Chiran Tithatu Saddhammo. Chiran Tithatu Saddhammo. Chiran Tithatu Saddhammo. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Thank you so much, Bhante. It was very nice to hear the insight knowledges. And thank you so much. May you have a good time, Bhante. And even if it's so late in Singapore, still you managed to give the Dhamma sermon. We are so grateful to you, Bhante. Thank you so much for that. And
Okay, very nice.
thank you all for
Yes.
joining, and see you next Sunday, everyone. Till that time, please take care.
Nice. Good.